Tell me, everybody, who is ready to go live? First live show of 2023. Cosas Verdes show. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's going to be exciting to do the first live show of 2023. I am coming off of among the more interesting VIP calls that I've ever had, where I thought I had a great idea to communicate, and it was essentially like Chinese, where I was not voicing it very well. And the reason I went down such a weird rabbit hole is because price has been doing absolutely nothing. So let's start with there. Price has been doing absolutely nothing. Do you want to go down a rabbit hole, which I seem to have gotten lost in, coming off of a VIP call? And I want to try to explain it again in hopes that I produce a better result of, people understand, because what I'm about to show you, I don't know. I don't think you can find this type of content anywhere else. I don't know if it exists. So, and the reason I want to do it today is because price is doing exactly what I drew from my past videos, like almost to the 5-minute candle. I don't need to talk about price that we drew. So let's go down a freaking rabbit hole. Are you ready? Okay, let's go get it. Let's make sure that I have my audio on. You can hear me? All right, let's get it. I'm not going to do any music today in the background. A lot of you would be fine, or prefer that, because I need to be able to concentrate on this. And this is the time to go ahead and, actually, no, don't hit the like button yet. Hit it if I show you something that connects even mildly that you had never seen before. Let's do that. And I want to know, so by the amount of thumbs ups. So even if you're a regular thumbs upper, don't do it yet. And if you already did it, then undo it. Like, I'm for real. I want to know at the end of this, I want to be able to count, like, how many people got it. From that VIP call, 3 maybe, or 2, can't remember. 1 definitely, right? But I think 2 or 3. Let's see if I can do better. All right, so I need to measure my results. The rabbit hole we were going to go down, or I attempted to go down, was, let me make myself big again. I was trying to explain a feeling that you get as a person who's new to price. And it's very similar to trying to remember back, or this describes you currently. You zoom into some type of price action, like this behind me, and it just, you look at it and you're like, I don't know. I have no idea what would come after this. Like, not a clue. I don't know what to do, right? It's foreign, right? It's not just the whole jargon of, oh, that's an EMA. I went through that too. That's just part of doing the work. You got to get through the jargon of the industry and what you're trying to accomplish here. Not saying that. I'm saying looking out at price and the chart, almost, okay, here it is. It's similar to the feeling that if you are a person who has never studied astronomy even to a basic degree, okay, which is most people, you can't look up and say, that is Mars. Or on a cloudy day, know that, or like if it's a day where it's very light clouds at night and you see a red planet, there's a chance it could be Jupiter. If you're not following stuff, but they both look red and are big, and they're on the exact zodiac. And since you probably live in the same place, so I'm describing what people who know astronomy are like. Where the planets go. That in the northern hemisphere they go like this across the sky a little lower, and in the summer they're up higher. That's just the way it is, right? But so most of you listening to that is foreign to you. Like Zodiac, I thought that was the astrology. No, Zodiac's a real ass thing. And once you see it, you don't ever unsee it. Like it's just a known thing. Like the planets go on this line. You just know, like you don't unknow it ever. And you kind of get the sense of direction too. Like that line is never over that way. It's always that direction. So for example, it's always out my back door about that high. The planets are never anywhere else, ever. For example, maybe not north, south, east, west, right? It's never out the front door. Not once, and it never will be. But so listening to that sort of thing can be foreign to most of you. You don't know what that feels like, most likely, right? And so that's the feeling of being foreign. And if you get that feeling in the charts, like, whoa, that's kind of the feeling I'm going for here. But inverse to that, the people who do know what I'm talking about with the whole zodiac stuff and just knowing where the planets go, you got to remember the first time you understood it and you realize, oh, that is what it is. And then you'll probably go, oh, I always thought it was just an astrology. That's what I did too. So I remember the moment. It's like, oh, it's a real thing. And it's just that. All it means is the planets are always right there or a little higher. Huh. Simple, right? Okay. And so I'm going to try to break through. So here's the rabbit hole I'm trying to go down. I want you to be able to, I guess, see that in the charts. The planets are always here. And that's what I'm going to try to do. All right. And so that should be good for both parties as recipients of that, the preface there. Because either you know how foreign what the hell I just said was, so that's good. We're going to try to take that away, right? Or you're a person who's broken through and perhaps has not broken through on the charts, so you kind of know what you're expecting here. All right, here we go. Whew. Hopefully I don't swing and miss so hard. Like, give me a foul tip or something. Okay. And I had to take my damn contacts out earlier because I'm struggling right now with trying to figure out if I'm going to wear glasses or contacts. All right. Let's say that we are flipping back and forth between the 4-hour chart let's do the 1-hour chart and the monthly chart. And what we're going to try to do here is help you break through and to be able to automatically know, I guess, what's next based off of every other time this situation happened. Okay, if I can lock that, this happened, well, what led up to that situation? Like almost like domestic violence calls. I'm trying to get you to the point where you get the call, that's the candle, and imagine you're the cop going over there like, it's one of, like, this is how it's going down. It's going down this way. Or so, like this is what we're going to do. Or he already knows before the fight started what led up to it because he's already had like 100 of these calls, listened to 200 stories, right? Because a couple fighting. And he already knows that there are 3 common denominators. It only builds up one of 3 ways, and it's almost always involving alcohol. For example, okay, I'm not dissing alcohol necessarily, but I mean, it's probably true. Like, I would say every single call of a cop, so leading up to this, like I'm trying to get you to get this in the chart, okay? And imagine being that cop, right? And I want you to just already know. You can look at a monthly candle. I know what led up to this fight. Or, even better, maybe I don't know, but there are definitely, I know it was one of these 3. That makes sense? And then know that the information from the chart, if it's the exact same scenario, it will mean something different. So what led up to the situation is different because the chart's different. So it's almost like, even though on the monthly and the 4 hour, it might sound like the same call, but in reality, you know, one's domestic violent call and the other is, I don't know, maybe it's like a psychotic breakdown or like mental health or something, or I don't know what it is. And so going to there, if you get that type of call, right, then there are different avenues that lead up to that. For example, all right, we're gonna, but then also you have an idea how you're going to end your visit there. How am I going to get in and out and like back home safely as soon as possible? So I know what is. I have one candle. I know what led up to it, and I kind of know how I'm going to seal this bitch up. Okay? And you're going to draw all that information off of one instance. That might be a better way to explain it. So let's do an exercise where this is, you are looking at a small time frame, but you actually know that you're actually looking at a month. Okay, it's the first 9 days of a month. I apologize. You're looking at the first 9 days of a month. This is 9 days. Okay, so the only two pieces of information we have right now is this foreign object that's totally foreign to us, right? Remember the COP. We should be able to look at this with just this information. 1, 2, nothing else. You should already know if this is 9 days and you're relating it to the monthly chart. You already know what this candle looks like. Exactly. And so that is just kind of like, so what I just said there, okay? And if you want to know what the candle looks like so far, it would be, well, the open. So this is like super basic. If you don't look at this and already know what the candle looks like, then you're probably newer. And that's fine. So let's do that first. But I think at least half of people on here should be able to look at that and work it out. And then if you do it 10 times, you should automatically know, hopefully. This is 9 days. What does the monthly candle look like at this point if it is 9 days? The opening was exactly here. So that means if a candle is like this, okay, I'm going to put it yellow for now because I don't know what color it is. Like, we haven't walked through this, right? I already know that either the top or the bottom will be exactly there. We know that just from the length of time and the yellow shape. Only two pieces of information. Now we are the COP already knowing what led up to it, right? Or no. Actually, I apologize. No, right now we're the COP already knowing roughly what the call's about. Oh, domestic violence on, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, kind of, you can kind of picture. It's one of these three, how this call ends the report, to call me out there. It's probably, it's probably looks like this, right? So we are just doing, this middle part. We're only identifying what this looks like. We're not looking at information beyond yet. So all we're doing is going from small to big. Like, we are looking at the guts of an animal only. You haven't seen the animal yet. You just wake up like out of nowhere and your head is inside of a big ass animal that's warm, kind of like a Star Wars moment where he crawls inside the animal, the woolly white animal. Like, you wake up like these are the guts, right? Like, what animal is this? You don't know. But if you crawl into that animal a lot and you find yourself in there again, you're going to know, it's that big white one. All right. Yeah, I already know. Just from the guts. And I didn't even have to see the animal. And that's what this is. This is the guts. And so for me, I'm a weirdo who has slept inside of animals, I guess, because this is where the analogy is going. Like I'm just so, but that would mean in the chart, I study the chart a lot. I'm very comfortable with price action. That's all it means. But it's a weird way. It's a weird analogy, but it's working so far. So let's go with it. I think it's working. Yeah. And don't hit the thumbs up yet until I pull a string, in a good way. Like I need your brain to go, and those are so don't thumbs up this video unless that happens. I'm serious, just for this one. All the others, always hit the thumbs up, okay? And on Twitter. All right. But for this one, I need to measure my success, please. All right. So don't skew my results. And feel free to thumbs down it if you didn't understand jack shit of what I'm saying. Do that, please. Even if you're a regular thumbs upper for this video, let's just call it, this is a science experiment. I need to measure results, please. And I'm taking that very seriously. Okay, and so don't just try to be nice and hit thumbs up. If it's 0 thumbs ups and 10 thumbs downs, that's what I want to know. I don't want you to be nice. Just like I'm not nice with you. I yell at all of you to sell. I yell how important it is to hold Tether and how stupid it is to be buying Luna and meme coins and how crazy it is to be saying, oh, buy the dip, right? Like I am mean about it, so be mean back to me. Don't be nice because I don't tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what you need to hear. So do the same to me. All right, here we go. We already know from just these two pieces of information, trying to figure out our base here before looking in the future or in the past, that either the top or the bottom will go there because the month started exactly there. So the guts, okay, that's a stomach. Ding. If a stomach, that means the head will be somewhere up here. You kind of start knowing, right? So it's going to be one of these two. But now that we mark this off as the open, you can see very clearly that all of this surface area is green. Oh, I am too big. And this surface area here is red. With this line here. And remember, we only had two pieces of information. And we should know this. Like we already know, like the cop, he already kind of knows how the report's going to call it end. It's one of these three ways, right? And when you look at this and you know that it's 9 days of price action and you say, okay, what does that mean on a month? You should know this. So that's step one. Okay. All right. So what does, and visualizing this line and it prices above it, but it did spend a little time below it. So if it is a green, so from this we can deduce currently it's a green candle 9 days in the month. And it started here and it had a fairly small wick down. So we have the open here. It's currently here 9 days in. So right there, right? I'm lining it up with the exact end of price and it's green. And it has a wick exactly going. I'll just mark it off. What's wrong with that? Green candle can't have a red wick, Tim. That's accurate. It's a green wick. That's exactly what the monthly candle looks like at that exact moment. And you should be able to, if you are in crypto pissing with this volatile asset and you cannot look at this knowing it's 9 days of price action and somebody says, what does that look like on a monthly scale? If you can't deduce that, I mean, honestly, for me, it's instant. I actually instantly know what comes before and what comes after. Especially if this were 30 days. We'll do that next, though. For the before and after, I need to make this a whole month. It's just, it's a lot cleaner. But so just realize that you are in an environment where it's the most volatile price, maybe besides the price of oil. The price of oil is really volatile. Whew. Wow. But crypto's still more volatile. And I'm trying to tell you that if you can't deduce what we just did here within 5 seconds, you're playing with fire. Reading too many fucking white papers. Get on a chart. You are going to be the one that I make money off of next bull run, and I don't want that to happen. Hell, I mean, I take that so seriously that I freaking regret starting off my channel simply talking about coins that, I had interest in, right? And because I had interest, I had them already. And I had no followers. I just wanted to help I literally had a private group making videos for them, and then I just made them public or whatever. But the unfortunate situation behind that is, whenever I made a video, even if I just said, it could be pretty bullish right here, and then I could see the candle just, what are you people doing? Right? I don't want that to be you. You're gonna, so you need to be able to, if you are in crypto, doing that first step, I think, is a requirement. If you can't do that, you need to spend less time on white papers and all the fundamental stuff. You need to be able to do that and then go back to the fundamentals. Baseline chart knowledge. You now know where the zodiac is. Maybe you don't know how much brighter Jupiter is than Saturn. Okay, we'll get there later, right? But you had that aha moment. Shit, the planets are always out my back door, roughly this high in the winter, that high in the summer. You need that baseline of knowledge in order for you to not get your ass handed to you. I'm telling you, your white papers aren't going to save you. They're not going to save you. Being able to do what I just did within 3 seconds. If that, and again, I'm ranting on this because I bet a lot of you, I'm talking to you, which is great. Don't feel bad if this describes you. No, I'm the next level up. No, this describes you. That's fine. All right. And if you don't understand what the hell I'm saying, then hit the thumbs down. But if I do break through to you later, then hit the thumbs up, please. All right. Whew. Okay. That was step one. Now, where did my fractal go? There it is. All right. So all we have done by this point is, in the cop analogy, we just ended the call. We're in our car heading out. We already knew the address, and we were already driving over there as, I was getting more information. Okay, over, all the descriptions about what's going on in the house, over, you're already driving, okay? But as that's happening, over as you're driving, you're imagining, okay, I kind of know how this call will end, right? That's all we've done there. That exact image. Cop can already imagine the 3 most likely situations of how that call, the rest of the information before it's given, he will either be given a circle, a triangle, or a square. Even though he hasn't heard the rest of the conversation, whatever is said over, it'll be one of those 3. That's what we just did there. Okay. Now we're going to do, in that exact instant, now that the phone call is over, all right, now the cop knows which one of those 3 it was. So before the phone call was over, which this is 9 days, the month's not over, we are literally that cop in that car, only halfway through the call, but he's already on his way because they started with the address, please head over. Now we're describing it. We are literally in that snapshot now. And so the cop knows that there's about 2 or 3 more minutes of information coming, and it's either going to come in form of an orange, I guess, apparently this is orange, an orange circle, a white X, or a star. Make it red, because red planet, whatever. Planet's a star, same thing, right? If you say so. All right. And so the cop, knows he has 2 more minutes of information coming to him as he's driving to the address. And that's where we are, because we're 9 days through. The call hasn't ended. We haven't seen this candle close. But we know, based off this information, when you go back in time and a monthly candle starts looking like this at the first 9 days, where it only went below the line to do a little bit of red and then a bunch of green, and it based on it and went higher, right? So it's not just straight up. You have this strong of a green candle with support, with a pullback. So under those conditions, all the times in the past that's happened, hell, you probably only have 2. The cop knows the rest of this conversation will be one of these 2 things. If the candle were like this. So what are those 2 things? I already know. Think about it. 9 days in, what happens next? And why? We'll get there. All right. And so that is the predicament of, oh no, I might tell you, actually, I should tell you the 2 pieces of information. I should finish the analogy. All right. Okay, because we haven't finished the snapshot. So I haven't told you what the cop knows. The cop knows, let's say that this is kind of a long, let's orient this a little bit better. Yeah, a month, okay. And let's say for reference, we start getting a little context, like, actually, no, we don't have any more context. We're trying to draw off of this is 9 days only. And what other pieces of information can we deliver from only 2 tiny things? Crawling into animals and sleeping. Like weird stuff, but this is how you do it. Under the conditions that we now know, not only is it a pretty tall candle in 9 days, but it started off hot. It clearly, and I'm kind of getting into the future, I'm going into the previous. So now I'm kind of unfortunately dipping into the cop envisioning what led up to the situation. But I can already tell that this red area over here, it looks like it was a quick retest of something like, whoops. Like that. It looks like it's a retest of that to me. And then, so even though I'm not trying to go down this route, but then if you know that and that, then what do you think came here? Looks like a strong trend to me, like a pretty damn strong one. But we're not doing that yet. So the cop now knows that there are only 2 ways this conversation will end. 9 days in, the candle looks like this. We know what the guts of it look like, because that was one of the 2 pieces of information we got, the shape and the time. It probably retested something. It retested something here. So hell, there might have been like 2 wicks or something like that before here. It almost looks like price over here was like boom, 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 almost like that. Anyway. And so it looks kind of like the rest of the month, because I can, I could see this and draw these. It looks like the month most likely will result in a pretty damn hot one. What can a hot month look like? Well, that's one of the 2 ways that it would probably go. It probably won't be a red one. Not because we can see the guts of it. There are some cases where this 9 days, had this yellow guts been like this, it did it all in 1 hour candle, a $10,000 1 hour candle. So instead of this, we have this different guts. So you wake up inside of a different animal. But the candle is the same. Right? But that's a different house call. That's not domestic violence. Kind of looks similar, but it ain't. Because the original piece of information we got, or the call, was the guts of the candle. This would be so it's the same candle, but a totally different situation. What comes next in that call that is about mental health or elderly, the two things that come next will be totally different, even though this looks the same. Because the guts were different, right? Okay. And you need to just already know that, all right? Or that would be the next step after layer one. I apologize. You don't need to know that. The first step you do need to know. All right. And so it looks like it's a hot candle. What do hot candles look like? In what form? Well, if we're going to guess that how the rest of this goes, we know that, actually, copy it. All right. We know that hot candles can honestly go a lot higher up and then come back and rest at previous support. So previous support, right? Here, I can get rid of this because we've already repeated the idea that we only started with two pieces of information that actually look just like one, right? But we knew it's 9 days. So the time axis is very important, right? And I get rid of that, right? So it looks like one way a hot candle could happen, if this is a strong trend, the cop knowing how the conversation will end, is a lot of times they will wick really hot in the middle of the month, like the 20th, and then it needs to come down and form another higher low. So if I could extend this guy, oops, what that would look like in the guts is, this is 9 days. I'm going to have to move this over. All right. I'm going to squish the month together. But one of the ways the month would probably end is, I mean, the trend would probably stay. And it looks like it's just do it again, honestly. This looks like a strong trend. So like, let's say this is the 20th of the month, but we know it's a hot candle. So the breakout of this high is probably going to be a hot one. You know, bam. And then rest on this support and maybe base out. And that's the rest of the month. And the candle would look like this, exactly. And that is the X. But it's only 9 days long. We don't know if that's going to happen. But we do know it's probably X is one of the best guesses. Most common way. All from this and knowing it's 9 days. And we're still on the block. We're not on either sides of the block. It just goes so much deeper from one piece of information, two pieces. And then the circle, we know that it has to be in the context of a fairly hot candle. It's going to be green, probably a pretty aggressive one. So let's say that, an aggressive one sometimes is more like this. Just a normal, we gotta have this guy right here. That. Those would be the two best guesses on how that month would end. And so this would be the other thing that the cop knew would probably happen. Cop knows it's one of these two. So here's our call. Come over. And so what needs to be processing is once you start getting a little bit of information, ding, I got enough. Now I can draw conclusions. I have this piece of information right here over, on 41st Street. Not that there'd be, I'm not going down. I'm not doing any, stuff like that. But domestic violence, ding, 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 right? Domestic violence to age 25 and 28. And that's probably like having 9 days of information. So it's not, 50-year-olds drunk and fighting. The cop knows from this point it's a young couple because they gave them that information. I was given this information. It was 9 days long. So now I know it's domestic violence 25 and 28. I got the street number first, told to head over, heard the rest of it. Now I know instantly the rest of the call will be this or this because of the information given here. I instantly know. And I know that the month will close one of those two ways most likely, and I know what that will look like. So this one is the first one. If this were to happen, that's exactly what it looks like on the month. There are other ways it could happen too. All it has to do is hit that line and stop here. But it could like jiggle around it. I mean, hell, it could like jiggle around way up here. You could change all of this. The only thing you can't change is that point and that point. That's it. Shh. Go. Can't be here. Don't break my concentration, midgets. Okay. What do you need? Yes, you can turn it on. Go. Oh my goodness. Kids go to school tomorrow. All right, go. Okay. All right. So, it's not to say that it has the guts of this month have to look like this, because I instantly know there's a ton of variation because I can wiggle these dots around. All I have to do is keep that the same and that the same. And no matter what, this will look the same. So there are tons of things. I mean, hell, it could go technically like this. Like the 6-month candle closure back, like that's what that looked like. The 6-month candle closure, what month was it? Was it October? No, that doesn't make sense. June. No, it has to be June. What am I thinking? Yeah, June, July, middle of the year. Was it that far back? Where Bitcoin went up like 10% and then like went all the way down. It was a circus show, right? Y'all remember that? That was stupid. And it could look like that too in the guts. You just know you can't move that point and that point. But you know that price typically doesn't do that unless there's FOMC on top of a huge, a huge closure, a quarterly or a 6-month. So if it's not a quarterly or 6-month, well, this shit ain't happening. So now you can start limiting the scope of everything that happens between this point and this point, and you just know what's most common. So if I have to go from here to here, and this is roughly, let's say, another 8 days or 6 days, and this happened prior, I mean, it might want to base longer on this high because when it retested the previous high, which is probably what happened here, it didn't test it for very long. So this time, to retest this before maybe going up, it'll at least go sideways, right? And then the next month, I kind of know, well, I mean, there is a way that it could spill down. Like that, it's going to be a red month. Like if it closed like that, honestly, so let's go down that rabbit hole. So we got the snapshot. We completed the COP in the car. Getting the call, we got all the information. We have drawn the two most likely conclusions. We know what they look like inside and out from a hot air balloon 10,000 feet above the house and inside the house, how loud the house probably is. Probably have kids crying when I show up, right? 25 and 28, probably kids screaming, crying, like, damn, what am I going to walk into? You just know it. That's what you got to get here. All right. Now it goes deeper though, like way deeper. That is just step one. Or no, that's step two. Because we drew the conclusion what would happen next to complete the unit of 1 month. All right. And then we completed the call at 1 month. All right, now let's say that so the month started here, right? Okay. Now let's say this was a whole month. And let's see how much changing one piece of information. So remember, we started with 2 pieces of information. I'm keeping one the same. Like, this shit is cool as hell. Watch this. Like, I think I'm going to do a better job this time. This moment, what we're getting ready to have here, might be when you hit the thumbs up in the next 3 minutes. So we were only given this damn shape and told how much time it was, and we made all those conclusions. Only, like within the candle. We finished the candle. Now we have a finished candle, but it's the same exact shape. So what is the difference? What other conclusions can we draw? So instead of going through step 1 again, which we've already envisioned if it were 9 days, right? Once again, I would challenge you, you need to look behind me and know instantly what the candle shape looks like. You need to know that. Now this is 30 days exactly of price action. So we know the month started, I pointed to the wrong damn thing. Price started right there. So zoom way in. Way, and price started right there at the first 1 second of the month, right there. This is a whole 30 days now. Only changing one piece of information. Now we're getting a totally different thing. But we're not going to focus on the middle. We're going to focus on the beginning, what comes before, and what comes after, now that this is 30 days. But to quickly show what the shape would look like, I could stop dicking around with my chart. Okay, but we now know that it's a closed monthly candle. So it's the same damn first candle we had over there, right? But I think I erased it and stretched it into what it would be, if it were a month. So as of right, so if this month completed like that, boom. That's exactly what the month looked like. And it closed. Now that it's a month and not 9 days, all right? And so when we peek inside, so this is that white creature inside of Star Wars. And there's a live one, right? You're just seeing the damn animal. And then the camera pans over to a totally different scene where all you see are guts on the table. But it's the same animal. But it's the guts on the table. You don't see the white animal. You're seeing a bunch of red and meat and flesh. The stuff you probably don't want to envision. Sorry, if you have a weak stomach, I apologize. That's the guts. That's the animal. What came before it? And I had a team. He's a team leader now. I had a team leader do a really good job. Once I did the first one, then he automatically saw the second most likely option, what came first. And then before I even started talking about what comes next, he already got both of them. I was really happy. I'm going to maybe upload a recording of that snippet of the Discord with me yelling, exactly! Like, yes! All right, somebody sees it. I was yelling. All right. But seriously, look at this. What came before this month? And how can we know? Okay, this line is here for reference. The month started exactly here. That's what the candle looks like. How can we tell what the hell happened first? Only having this piece of information, knowing it's 30 days. Well, let's not consider this piece. Even though this is the first piece of information we got, in order to see what came prior, we don't know which is the best approach. I would guess this is the best approach because I get more information, right? But this might trump it. So let's go find out. I'm not for sure where to look, right? Where I can actually just see it, but I don't know how my brain got to that point, and how you would get there. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So in order for somebody to see this, I'm not sure if you'd start here or here. So let's start here. What came before this candle? Let's look at this shape. And it would help if there were a little bit of context. But that's all we have. It's closed month. We're building the context. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh, give me some more context. I mean, yeah, I'd love more context. But we're seeing what we can work with right here. Nothing else. Right there. Stare at that damn candle. Know it's a month. And it's a moderately large one, right? Because we knew it was a moderately hot month. What came before it? Well, it looks like a lot of times that this wick, right? It often likes to test something. But this one looks pretty short. So what does that mean about price leading up to it? It closed pretty damn strong, and it closed at a support. So it didn't just spike straight up and down like that other 6-month closure example. There's a lot of strength there. So if there's going to be a lot of strength in a month, right, what are the most common ways that it gets to this point? Just seriously, like, I want you to think about it. Because I know most of you aren't, like, you need to just think for a second. I would say that it was a green candle. I would strongly say it's a green candle. And I would say based off of, so yeah, with this information, I kind of wish I started here. I want this one, but I'm trying to do it from this angle. So I know it's green. Okay, so just start with green. We know that it was probably a fairly, with this information, it looks like it probably closed strong. So I don't know how big this guy was, right? That's what she said. But I know it's green. That's just automatically what I know. So now I'm the cop and visualizing what led up to the scenario. Well, probably alcohol. So probably a green candle. Probably alcohol is what happened before this, the finished call. So we're placing alcohol on the chart. Okay? Now, let's say 25 to 28 years old. Okay, well, we got to think of that. All right, that's in the candle too. Let's look at this. Well, if it is a strong closure, what does that mean of the wick? The wick probably wasn't that big. Because a month that chart, like a month that, price action that charges and closes the month strong and the month ends right there. That would be a candle that looks like this, a bare head, like a bald candle. Those happen. Not too common. Bare bottom candles happen too. So that's what a bare bottom, it would look like this. It would race up and close right there at the top at the end of the month. Already know instantly, right? And that's one way, honestly, that so I can assume that this was a pretty small wick. What else? And so now that we can assume this, well, I mean, kind of looking at it, does it have to, does this make sense? So what if this were accurate, what would be, could this make sense? Maybe if you had a month here, a month here, month here, that could make sense. right? Maybe a green month there. That could make sense. What happened prior. But we're in a downtrend. We're in a bear market. So that ain't how it happened. Right? So this was like, you know, potentially getting close to the top of a rally now. But we're getting other so we didn't know that in the chart. So that's not fair. We can't draw that conclusion. I apologize. So this is what we're stuck with for now. That's all I can do. I can't work out anything else using just the candle body. I need more information. But I haven't even used the information that was given to me. I just approached thinking about the situation differently. Trying to forget about what I was told and then drawing upon just what I know of that subject. Like alcohol. Over the intercom, did likely alcohol involved? I heard bottles clinking. Like, no, they didn't say that. They didn't give me that information. I'm drawing those conclusions. All right. Now, so give me the original information. What else? Now, how much more accurate can I make this? Or will it change? So we know the candle ended. Oops, I've stretched this out. Sorry. Right there. And this is what our candle looked like right there. Okay. So now we're kind of focused on this is the guts of that guy. What can I add to this, knowing what happened prior? Well, to me, it looks like a pretty damn strong trend to me, because this guy down here, its wick that it made, this guy here, it was done in a hurry. So the bulls were absolutely in control, right? So I can make this candle bigger now. They were in a hurry to buy. Like, people were buying. So what does that mean? Well, market makers already knew that they're going to keep buying, right? But they need to kick some people out of the trade, go grab some liquidity, so out of their longs or whatever. Or their algos simply need to touch something. Like, why would this happen? Why would this happen before a green candle? In the context of it happened in a hurry. Because most monthly backfills, right, which means the wick of a candle, on the monthly scale, because this is a month, they last on average 4 to 9 days. Like, that's kind of, well, I don't know if that's safe to say average. It is safer to say in a bell curve of all candle wicks, how many days long did it take to make that candle wick before the candle body flipped the right direction, right? So the lower candle wick or the upper candle wick of a red candle. So we're talking about the wick of an upper wick of a red candle or the lower wick of a green candle only right now. Just focus on that backfill, right? It's a red candle, but it went up first before going down. Or it's a green candle, it went down first before going up. We're focused on that specifically. How long does that take? And if you go past on the month, even though there isn't a big sample size on the monthly, there isn't. But, you know, it's like about 150. That's it. Only about 150 candles, monthly candles. So there's not a lot of information. But you could say that, you know, it's very rare for this to happen. So this is like, it happened in the first hour. The wick down on a green candle went but boom, and every other hour besides the first of that month were green. Like, it never went below that line again where it started. Or right here, sorry. So it only went below its open for a hot second, and then it never even saw it again. Just taken right off. Not very common. It only took 1 hour. And here's 1 day. Here is 2 day. 3 day. 4 day. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The middle distribution, even though technically you do a standard deviation from this middle, but let's do the middle distribution zone. It's 4 to 9 days, okay? At least within the sample size that I took, which might have been all of it. But honestly, I can't remember how far back I went. But I have done this before. But we're drawing this conclusion based off of this only. Do you see what we're doing? Like we can even, like you can see bell curves and shit. Like we know this. You should know this. Or you would need to get yourself to that, just thinking, drawing conclusions. Like what else can I see from this? So this was a really fast one, which means on the bell curve, because it only went below the line where it was red for a hot second, and then it flipped green. So that's a green wick to a green candle, and the month ended hot. So what does that mean? On this bell curve, it's one of the hotter ones. So what does that tell you about the previous candle? If it's going to be one of the rare hot ones, hot tamale, doesn't happen a lot. What does that mean? It means the prior candle was probably pretty big. Or it had a moderate size with a strong ass closure. It's one of those two. So let me make myself small. It's either something like that, oops, shit. Yeah, it actually could come in a lot of forms. Hell, it could even be something like, that. And it had a strong closure with a moderately sized body. And so the tail, actually, there are a lot of variations that could happen, because the most important thing is the closure. Like, we're focused on the closure. That's option one. It was a green candle with a strong closure, which, because it closed strong, even though it wasn't huge in, this part here, let's get that. Even though it wasn't huge, it was like bulls definitely closed the month. So fuck, we're buying. Let's just go test this EMA and we are buying, right? But if you, so let's say it's like this. It's a normal candle, kind of plain old Jane. It's possible. But also within that variation of only a strong closure with a moderate sized body, it could be this too. And so this would be something like in 2017. I think this did happen once. One of the candles does look like this, I think. It might have a hotter wick, actually. But it's when, God, what does it look like on the chart? It goes. Yeah, the whole correction happens in a month. And the month is like, say, the month started there or something. And it was a big drawdown to the weekly 10. All in a month, from there to there. That's 1 month. That's what that candle would be. Let's go see if there is one. I'm pretty sure there is. And again, I'm drawing all of these conclusions. And what do you think it hit? What did I say? The weekly 21 or the weekly 10? If I said weekly 10, I'm going to change my answer to weekly 21. Well, it might have gone between. I'm going to put both of them on. But that's exactly what it hit. Like, I can tell by looking at it, right? And I can draw all these conclusions based off of just that yellow shit, knowing, and then it really is what's important is the time. Are you seeing how important time is? Like, the conclusions you draw based off the information, the visual, it totally changes, because the same visual information is totally different on a different time frame. So let's put on actually, let's mark this and then go. Is that the weekly? So it's the weekly 21. It dipped slightly below the weekly 21. Damn. I don't remember doing that. I thought it hit pretty comfortable. 4 hours probably too small. So that's like the month starting right here or something. Month starts big green, like it's actually a huge red candle at that point. Flips green, has a nice structure. It ends, actually, it had a wick at the top. It ends here, right there. And that would be exactly, I mean, that's actually what had to have happened because that we already confirmed that is the same candle shape. So that is where it started. Should be anyway. Oh, the month started right. Oh, well, it's okay. So I said it started about right here. It actually started here. Close enough. Same horizontal, okay? So I missed that option. Yeah, start right there. Because I'm zoomed in on the first of the month and I'm looking down at the exact hour. All right. Are you seeing what I'm doing here? Like, all of this information, if you just do it enough, you can start drawing these damn conclusions. And that's why I can draw price paths that hit. And this is how you get to it. All right? But that's only, so let's say that the first thing was a blue box. So let's say the blue box represents this candle. Whenever you see blue boxes, you almost always see one of two things touching it. You either see a yellow rectangle or you see you have to imagine this scenario. Okay, I'm not saying you've ever studied blue rectangles. Imagine. Or a red heart, okay? Yes, that's what we're doing. Not Valentine's Day yet. So imagine you are in a scenario in the chart. You're looking at the stars. You don't know anything about astronomy. It's all foreign. You're lost in the charts. Don't know the difference between a planet and a star. Which people actually didn't know until like the 1700s. They called them, what did they call them? Floating stars. They didn't understand why they recessed back. And they came up with all these crazy mathematical solutions that actually worked up till like, I don't know, it was like computer simulations for thousands of years actually to try to explain it in a wrong way. And they just did limbo with math to try to explain it. It's a really neat story. But so whenever you look, so we're imagining being lost in the chart, but in just a quick second, we see a bunch of blue. And we know that almost every time we see blue, for some reason, we either see it like this. So what comes before it is a heart or this. We don't know why. It's just we see a bunch of these. Like here, like this. Actually, shit. And sometimes before a blue one, you'll see a check. So we're going to take this to Sesame Street. Not to insult anybody's intelligence, just so you can see it differently. So imagine looking out there in the abyss, in the foreign land of price, and you see this Sesame Street shit, right? And then way over here, there are almost no blue boxes. Like you're seeing other stuff, but right here is a bunch of this. And then if you scroll way over here, way back, you don't see any blue triangle or any blue rectangle, any blue squares. No, now you see blue squares again. And they're kind of together, and they always come, almost always, either with a heart or a yellow rectangle. Sometimes you'll get a check mark, sometimes you'll get that, but this is just what you're seeing. And that's all I'm doing with price. That's it. But it has numbers to it. And so we can tell, now we say to ourselves, well, why is it that it's so common that it's paired with yellow or paired with this? And when that is true, It's not like this. You don't see this very often where they're all mixed, red, yellow, red, yellow, red. You don't see that. It's almost always kind of clumped together. Why? Because of trend. All right, I'll get on to your questions now. I'm not going to do the forward stuff, but we'll go on to questions. I hope that if I pulled any strings, even if it's just like a little, just a little bit, give me that thumbs up. If nothing made sense, I need you to thumbs down it, because this is a science experiment. And this was my second attempt at explaining something, I don't know, something that I don't know if you can find this anywhere else. I've never heard anybody talk about this. And again, the reason I went down this rabbit hole is because price is following the pattern I drew days ago. So I don't need to talk about it anymore. It's per the plan, rabbit hole, judge me, thumbs up, thumbs down. And for people on the recording, we'll see you. Check out these videos or playlists popping up before you get out of here. And on to the rest of the stream. Okay, Chris Crane, hey man, any update on the indicator that you are developing? Let me check Fiverr. I don't know. Happy New Year to you. Nope, no updates yet. I'm creating a whiteboard video to explain it so that the indicator is not as poorly explained as what the hell I just went through. Yeah, so I scripted it and everything, but yeah, it's coming along. On the actual function on the chart side, the Pine Script experts all said they can't do it. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. I got two things I'm working on to pull it together. Yeah, and even on Fiverr, they say, we will build you any indicator, any. They all say the word any, like capital. And 3 of them now have said, no, we can't do that. Here's your money back. Oh well. At least the platform takes care of all that stuff, transactions. Okay. First question from a tier member. Do you still think Flux is strong, or has your opinion changed? Flux. Do I still think that it looks strong, or has my opinion changed? That is a question I got from the live stream. So again, from these live streams, I jump into price action, not knowing what I'm going to say. I've heard a couple people complain about that, but my argument is I think it's way more valuable for you to watch me go through the steps so you can do it too. So you know what I'm hunting for and how I'm drawing these conclusions, just like I went over for an hour trying to help you visualize how I come to these conclusions. And if you haven't watched that, I'm not even sure if I'd recommend watching it. I need to watch it first. I was trying to explain some very difficult concepts. But for Flux, I'm staring at this, and let's go take a look. Let me get myself small. So the reason I'm taking these off is because I don't need them. They were from my previous analysis. They're separating, which means the move is technically on the weekly scale, even though it's 12-hour. But even though the 12-hour is making an approach, if you put on the weekly, this is saying the weekly is actually accelerating down. So keep that in mind. These are separating, right? Faster, getting farther apart. And so the confusion of why that's happening as this comes up is because these are from the weekly time frame. So if I had these on the same time frame, they would not look. Actually, let's put they would not look the same. It would look more like the 10 and 12 would look more like at least the 12-hour 10 would probably look like that. And now let's put it on. So drawing conclusions, like just roughly, so it's always going to be kind of close to price, right? That's how I drew it. I always know the rules. Like it would be kind of close to price. So if the trend is down, then it'll be on top of price. If price really wicks up, then it'll probably go over it for a hot minute, right? So I just kind of drew it. Let's see how close I was. Where is it? There you go. So I moved it too slow. But outside of that, not bad. Is that the 10? Yeah, 12-hour 10. A little off. So when I visualize this probably is more like the 21 then. I moved it too slowly. No, be a higher EMA. Damn. So I was way off. That was a horrible guess then. It's more like the 55 or 89. That was a pretty bad guess. So it's much, much, much tighter to price. So I misvisualized it. All right. So I can take these guys off. And again, the reason I'm saying that is because on the Bitcoin side of things, I was trying to, we were having the practice of visualizing what happens next and what happened before and why, with only small pieces of information. Do I have other things over here? Well, the first thing I'm noticing is that even though it might be seen as bullish, that price got above here. So I could see an analyst saying that. That's fair. And I would need to get rid of my origin lines, but it will lead you to a trap. And I can already see it. Yeah, I'm telling you, I can already see it. I already know what would happen. Just like I was trying to explain on the Bitcoin portion. I'll show you why here in a sec. A lot of people are going to be looking at that. Breakout with confirmation, you know. Maybe it doesn't have confirmation. We'll have to zoom in. So I'm anticipating a trap. Or just a failed breakout. This is what I'm saying. Yeah, it'll be a failed breakout of this. Okay, so a lot of people are probably talking about that. It's going to fail. Here's why. Origin lines trump that. By a mile. Well, not by a mile, but by a lot. Strides. Like secretariat type of lead. So now take off that piece of information that we've already identified. So it is important. We'll leave it there. It's probably what it's going to hit on the way down, right? It's probably going to use it as support. Let me just hide that. These lines trump that information. So comparing those two, the reason why I can, see that a trap scenario is happening here, and it has to go down lower first. It can't go up much higher without going down first. It's similar to what I experience at my house all the freaking time. They're essentially Irish twins, so two small children born close to each other. They look like twins if they're not. One comes running up screaming and crying like, ah, she hit me! And she has like a knot on her head, right? And so that is similar. So imagine that. Like you have a kid walking up to you, crying her eyes out, and there's a visible bruise. You might in that moment instantly get pissed at the other kid, depending on the history, But it's possible that your first conclusion is based off that. So, right? And you might assume, breakout! I am mad at the other kid. Like that kid, the other child's getting a whooping for doing that. But that's not the whole story, right? That's what this line is. And it's going to create that. Yeah, and people are going to get screwed because they're probably listening to people covering this. If this is covered on YouTube, and they're going to look at that and they're going to be wrong. All right, by a mile, they'll be way wrong. These lines trump it. So knowing the rules of the origin lines, what are they? In terms of permission, what does this have permission to do based on how it's interacting? So right here, all of this area, this price action, how it's interacting with this exact line. That's all our eyes are zooming in on. We don't care about that line yet. We kind of care about it. We don't care about that one a whole lot. But it's almost all focus on that line and how is price, is it dancing on it? Is it punching it in the face? Is it knocking at its door? What is price doing with that line? And it went below the line, maintained an uptrend. Therefore, it actually had permission to go back above this line. It did maintain an uptrend. But if you zoomed into the 1 hour, it probably actually broke rules. This is saying it probably should not have been able to sustain. No, all it means is you can't sustain price above this. Yeah, you can't, don't have permission to stay above there. So it kind of broke some rules, actually. This wasn't supposed to happen. Whoever did this is an anomaly. That is not supposed to happen. Yeah, that was not supposed to happen. Whoever did that is silly. Or it was somebody screwing. Whoa, it hit the other origin line. Yeah, none of that was supposed to happen. Either that's a Discord pump group or or something, or a group with who had access to an order book of an exchange with the most volume. They took advantage, or the exchange itself. That's not natural. Anyway, so people looking at that line, so now back to the analogy, are going to be that person, the dad who goes, I'm straight up whoopings for the other kid. But it's not the whole story. Now we have these other lines here, and it says to us, you went below this origin line once, had a massive ass failure pattern. What is the most common way to convert previous support into resistance? If you think of all the ways, like all the times that you've seen, so just imagine it, like you've seen YouTubers talk about, like previous support turns into future resistance, or all that kind of stuff. Like what was going on in the charts? Well, the most common pattern is if you go below and you're going to convert this to resistance is, I say it all the time on my channel. What am I about to say? Failure rejection pattern. So that just looks like what's going to happen, because it does not have permission to maintain itself above this line before touching this line. It does not, unless something crazy like that happens. That did not have permission to do that. But where did it end? Exactly at an origin line for some weird ass reason. I don't know what the hell that is. So now I'm deducing where price can go. I'm like squeezing it one direction. I'm leading it like sheep. Like I'm herding price, right? From the outside. You got to start on the outside and herd it where you want to go. And so the most common place for this would be rejection pattern. Maybe try to do this. Probably not another spike up. Get stuck in a triangle. Maybe fill that out and then come down. That's what it looks like to me. Because we're in a bear market. So if we weren't in a bear market, from this point, I would probably guess it could recover. But since we're in a bear market, I'm not going to guess that, and I think it'll go down. So there you go. That's one iteration. But since we're still kind of far out herding the animals, it's possible that the animals take a sharp turn that I'm not expecting. But I still know how to herd them. That was still, even coming all the way up here would be a failure rejection pattern. It just looks like what's going to happen. And then the other most likely thing is it comes up shy. It doesn't hit it, and then it hits this first. So to tell the difference, so those are the two by far most likely things that are getting ready to happen by a mile. And I can tell all that just by staring at this. And I can already tell people are going to be potentially getting too excited about a trend line that will result in a false breakout. And it will look like one of those two ways, right? And other people aren't going to see it because they don't have origin lines unless they watch my channel. So now we got to determine, I want to make money off of both, but I don't know which one's going to happen. So if this is the one that happens, or let's do red. And let's do this yellow, because it kind of, it looks like it was going to be green, but then it came down to yellow. So I don't know which one it is, but I don't care. I'm going to make money off of both, because I know it's very likely going to do one of these. So what other information do I have to work with? Well, I'm seeing a lot of wicks and candle bodies, just kind of eyeballing stuff about right here. So the way to tell the difference on how to poise yourself here is, all right, I don't want to long if this is what's going to happen, right? Because how much wiggle room do I have? Well, actually, you could. But let's just pretend that wasn't a whole 6%, right? You're not comfortable trading 5-minute candles. You're a 4-hour person, so you need a 10% move or more, like spot. For spot, actually, I wouldn't take that. So let's say we're trading spot price, not futures. That is tradable on futures, though, on very small candles only. Because you need the information of the guts, right? You have to see the guts in order to trade such a small move. That's why it's required to be on the small time frames. So we can deduce, well, I want to make money off both. I don't know which one. I don't want to long if this happens. And I would love to make money off both if this happens. So because those are my goals, I want to long, then short, obviously, right? Because this is a big move up, and it's a bigger move down. I want to make money both ways. But I don't know which one will happen. So how do I approach this puzzle? It's just a puzzle. But you have to envision all the pieces and the board and your opponent. Got to have a good imagination, I guess. If I wanted to long this, actually, if it actually looks kind of safe. This is not financial advice. From first glance, if I really wanted to trade this, I would probably want to, knowing that I don't know which one will happen, I would probably want to start building a mild long position here, but I wouldn't go all in, because I can see, look left, this wick, it might want to be attacked one more time like this, and that would be just a, a nice higher low. So I want to build a long position from here to here. Because even if the red one happens, even if the red one happens, so this is my building a position. Even if this one happens, when it goes up, I will be able to put my stop in profit, right? So it comes up, and here my average position was in the middle. I'll move my stop up. So no matter what, I'm in a profitable trade. I might as well build a position about there. Okay? I usually don't go this far into analysis, but since this is the theme, like, you need to know how to draw conclusions and solve puzzles and stuff, right? Which honestly, maybe just learning how to play checkers or chess might help you, honestly. If you went and just tried to play, not get good, that's not your goal. Your goal is not to make money in trading, for example. Your goal is to get 500 games under your belt of chess. Who cares if you lose all 500, right? That's like practicing trading with very, 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 very small amounts of money. You just want to get the repetition in. All right, so I would build a position there, move my stop up once that happened. No matter what, I'm in a profitable trade. But because this big line is here, in the event that the red happens, that I would let my stops do their work, and then I would look to enter a short, not on a breakdown of this. I don't like that. And I just made a near video 8 days ago anticipating if, this is the third way it can move, and I don't like trading breakdowns, and here's why, so it'll probably move this way. And I posted on Twitter, and it's exactly what happened. Here's why I don't like doing breakdowns. Because it almost always comes back up to it and then goes. I just the first pass, I don't know. I think it's silly. Unless you're on like the 1 minute time frame or something. So if I know, even though I'm building a long position here because I don't know which one will happen, I already know that I won't make much money getting stopped out in profit if red happens. Therefore, my game plan of attack is I will short this line if used as resistance. That's how I will make money on that one. I'll get stopped out in profit, right? And I would take a short position under those conditions. And I already know, so if I'm trying to pick it up to this wick, maybe I have my stops here. And then the third situation is none of these happen, and I just let my stops do their work. Happens all the time. No big deal, right? Just find another good setup. Doesn't matter. Move on. Now, off the green one, I know that if I had that position built up and I walk up my stop when price gets here, because red might happen. At that exact moment, I still don't know because they're still touching. You see that? This is when I walk my stop up. I know in the event of green or of this one, I just maybe walk it up a little bit more after it goes up and I take profits right here. Not financial advice. And then the entry to the short there would be a lot. It'd be aggressive. It would be hard. Because this thing could really wick. Look at this shit. Look at it. Honestly, I don't know. If I were knowing that this happened, if I were looking at this, I think there's too high of a chance if you're going to get attacked trying to short it. So my plan would be, I need to accept the fact that I'm going to play this a little safely. Meaning the conditions under which I enter a short must be specific. And I am willing to sacrifice the trade, meaning I don't get to enter in the event my condition doesn't happen. For example, I would only want to short, because this thing's so volatile, I wouldn't want to short at that line necessarily. Because that wick. If it had a better history of just hitting it perfectly, okay, I would. I probably would. I'd probably start entering there. But in this case, hell no. I would set a condition for myself. It would need to do something where, like zooming way in, it would need to do one of two things. It would need to go slightly above it, failure, rejection pattern, short on that, or it needs to look like that, a straight up rejection. I can only short if one of those two happen. Because, and what that means automatically is that I'm accepting the fact that if it does go straight up and straight down, I will miss out on the whole trade. And I know that before I take it. And that's flux. And that's what we do on VIP. Like I show you, here's why I wouldn't do this personally, or this is how I would do it. I usually don't give this type of content on YouTube, but it was the nature of, it was the theme of the Bitcoin portion. So I'm drawing conclusions, and that's where we led. That's flux. Yeah, I'm on some type of creative burst. I wasn't able to sleep well last night, and I couldn't take a nap. I'm having insomnia problems, but even though I'm dead ass tired, I'm having a creative burst today, maybe off of the idea that there's nothing else to do. So I'm trying to go down a rabbit hole, but sorry for the different type of content. If you don't like it, it'll change on Thursday because we'll have some volatility. We'll go back to normal. Somebody's asking about, so Harrison is asking Acero. Yeah, I remember that. Acero, is that I think that's a privacy coin, isn't it? Maybe not. No, I don't remember. Is that right? Alpha, Zero, and Zen. So so for context, Remember from the Bitcoin portion of this video how important it is to have the context of time, right? So the first thing you need to do here is figure out what is the time scale. This goes back to November of only 22, okay? So this is not very old. Now I need the context of Bitcoin in November. What day was it? 14th. Came out here. Bitcoin's gone sideways ever since. This has gone sideways, okay? So the pressure's down on Bitcoin. Without Bitcoin, you would have a big question mark. Like you'd have even probabilities of, you'd have too many options. Like each of these would be as equally probable without the context of Bitcoin. But since we have the context of Bitcoin, I think the bears are in control of the stock market and everything. So I will say with that context that price will not get above this. And if it does, it has to do it. It would either do it out here or right there at these horizontals. See this horizontal? And the bottom. So if it chooses to go up, so I'm saying it's not going to go over these 2 points. Very high. Like the highest it'll go is like this. Or one of those. That's a arrow. I'm going to start speeding these up. Zen. Huh. Wow, beautifully timed entry. And all the people talking about giving Richard Hart a hard time about Pulse Chain, even without the threat of the SEC, which now is in a definite reason Pulse Chain's not coming out, for example. So I'm drawing on this, but using Hex and all that ecosystem as an example. The inverse of this is why, even without the SEC threat, which is a newer development, even without that, you wouldn't release Pulse Chain in a bear market. It doesn't make any sense. You would want to release it as close to that moment as possible. And this thing started almost exactly when I knew to go all in. Perfectly timed. So that's the context of time here with Bitcoin. And so now I know from that, it gave up its whole bull run. That ain't good. Whole thing's gone. You bought here, or even this strong ass dip, you are now break even because you never sold. That is not a good feeling. So, and that helps you understand the nature of what's happening. The sellers are in control, and by the looks of it, they're not going to let up anytime soon. Even without Bitcoin, I can see that. Kind of looks like it might slow down and go poof, like even speed up even faster. Like it looks like it might, yeah, you kind of got to get up to get down. It looks like you got to slow down to get fast. That's kind of what it looks like. So I think that it's going to break. I think it's going to have price discovery down. Let's measure how far. Ooh, that's 40%. This could do a double bottom. This might save it, actually. This is a good candidate for a perfect double bottom, actually. That exact area, not financial advice, Pokemon cards only. If I were interested in Zen Pokemon, the super rare Pokemon, shiny cards, I would feel confident in making that my first DCA among others that were lower. I would feel very comfortable with that. And that's how I'll leave Zen. Because I went into the whole how to trade it on Flux, but for this is more spot trade, is what I think you're going for there. But Flux you can trade on futures, which is why it was neat to use that example. Crypto Funds, okay, is not a tier member, but I like his comment. Coming on to say, hey, I'm over here from Twitter, so presumably doesn't jump on lives a lot, but just kind of doing, I guess, free advertising for me. All the money he saved from following my channel. So thank you for that. I appreciate the feedback. Tim, WTF, you're saying we're going to 31K. Oh, okay. You're talking about my updates on Discord, because I haven't said that on YouTube. No, 31K. I haven't mentioned 31K. I've mentioned, what was it, 33 and 25? I don't know what you're referring to, actually. 31 is not sticking out. I'm not for sure. Tell me what you're talking about, DCF. All right, 80, yeah, we'll do Cardano. I like Cardano. Cardano is a fairly clean chart, and it's volatile. Recording Cardano, I haven't pulled up the chart yet. I don't know what I'm going to say. Part of the benefit of watching that, even though it's not prepared, is seeing me struggle through it so I can, you can see how I come to conclusions. And there is potentially more value in that than having a prepared script. So let's jump into Cardano. For the recording, this is Cardano on, or this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs, right? So where are my origin lines? Here they are. So this is your brain. This is your brain. This is Cardano. This is Cardano on origin lines. It looks clean, right? For anybody who hasn't been to my channel, because I don't cover Cardano a whole ton. So this might be new to a lot of people jumping on the recording, not the live stream. And what did you want to know about Cardano? Just ADA? All right. Well, I can already, so I'm going to zoom way in here. Way in there. But I can already tell something. There are origin line rules, which I've covered on my Discord and a lot on this channel, really. A lot of good free information on this. But it's spotty, right? I don't have a tutorial on this. I can already tell from a distance before zooming in that this line has to be hit before price can stay above there. It does not have permission to get above and stay above this line until that line is hit. It will not happen. For people new to my channel, I just spoke in a superlative or an ultimatum. When I say things like that, it's with air quotes. Of course, there is some chance that it breaks that rule, but it's probably single digits. I shouldn't speak in ultimatums. But those are the rules, and that's the way it'll probably be, with an extremely high chance. It could come in many forms, though. So, for example, taking your eyes off of the origin lines and just looking at price structure here, this whole move down, has been fairly aggressive, right? And a lot of times, even in a bear market, you get a mean reversion. Like it snaps back before going back down, right? So if a bear market is just this, price goes for a reason. It needs to test that to see how strong the bulls are. And then after testing, how strong are the bulls? How strong are the bulls? Oh, they gave up. Like, seriously, bulls? Okay, all right, let's start selling. Right? If you can envision what's happening there. So within that, this looks like a really weak mean reversion. A very weak one. The bulls aren't even trying. So it does have permission to do this. But it's not going to, because I can tell just by looking at it. The sellers are in control. Big time on this. Hugely. And the last time I said that was on Trias. And when I drew like that, it's exactly what happened. And I made a showboat video on it, I think. It does have permission to do this, though. And it is possible. But because of all this context, I can tell you it's not going to happen. Either way, it will hit this line before it sustains above here. This is like a what if. Could happen. Could be like a 10% chance of happening, something like that. It's not, it might be double digit. So now I'm herding the cattle, right? I need the cattle to go through one door, and there's like 10,000 of them, and I'm staying on the outside, and I'm trying to push them through, so deducing. Hasn't touched the weekly 10 in a long time. No, that's November, so I guess it doesn't have to technically. I'm trying to tell how fast it's going to get there. This is just really bearish. I'm feeling a trend line that's sloped this way, and it feels like I need that on my chart. So let me map this out. And it looks like it's getting, if I had to guess, whatever I'm getting ready to draw, I'm having the feeling that price is below it and using it as resistance. That's just the feeling I'm getting. So I was missing a nice trend line. So now I'm trying to envision, what are people with money who are trading this or who program bots and manage a trading desk for crypto, for a hedge fund or whatever, a bank or the government? Honestly, there are definitely governments and the U.S. government with trading desks on Bitcoin and probably Cardano too. It's happening. Maybe not on Cardano, but Bitcoin. So what are all those people going to do with this line in context with what lines they don't have, which are my origin lines? That could happen. That looks realistic. In an extreme case, that could happen. Does that break any origin line rules? No, it doesn't. Why? It did not sustain price above there. It's a rejection failure pattern. But I don't think that's going to happen because we already went over that. It doesn't look like it's going to get over this line. So it looks like it will hit this line. I'll extend it just a little bit to account for it in case it uses the top of the box as support while sloping down. It might hit it a little later. Something like that. But tomorrow is a big volatility day, 12%. And honestly, it could hit tomorrow. It's possible. So yeah, it's going to hit that origin line within those dates. And it can have a few options on how to do it. We've deduced that, this one is the least probable, but it would still probably hit there if it did happen like that. But it's probably going to stay within here or come up shy, like just roll out, or it's going to get on top and float down, spike up, boom. Those are the three ways it'll go. I'm kind of favoring, I don't know which one I'm favoring actually, of those three. All three of those are probably about equal probabilities of happening based off the information I have, and that's Cardano. Oh yeah, and if your comments are not showing up, I did forget to turn off my spam blocker. It blocks by the words, and I forgot to do that, so I'm sorry. You can, if your stuff's getting blocked, don't use words like profit or earn or investment or Follow me on Telegram. Don't say that. It won't show up. Or WhatsApp. Those words will all be blocked. So just try again if your comments are getting blocked. I forgot to say that earlier. Oh, 35K. Yeah, 35K would be like the rally of Bitcoin in 2019 from 3,200 to 14K. That's what 35K would be if the equivalent of that happened. And right now, we would be either here or here in the context of that video. So yeah, I was talking about that. Absolutely, dude. But you would go down first. And then all the crony folks, before the SEC even allows, the news to talk about it, it will be sealed. They won't be able, like reporters who would leak something like that would get in, it wouldn't get back past the director's desk. Like the directors of these places know these people who are going to try to profit off this, the timing of this, the hammer coming down to the SEC on crypto, and they will not be able to report it. They will have the story already written. They will have had brainstorm sessions in a conference room trying to figure out what the best title is to get the most clicks or engagement. And then they will probably have a second and third brainstorm how to tweak it, all the news that they're going to release, right? Of when the SEC will hammer down. And they're not going to release it until we're there. And that is what I think is going to happen. But from something lower than 15K to 35K, this number and the shape might look fairly similar. It might not be that aggressive, but I would imagine it actually did have 2 nice pauses, so it's a nice run. It's actually it's a beautiful run, actually. It started getting too hot right there. That's when the real bull trap happened. That was all a trap. That was not retail. That was all to take your money. All of it. Retail did not make that happen. Because traditional finance, well, maybe retail did. Traditional finance was not in the game then, was it? This is when they started entering. So this is the shaded gray. Some institutions were already in Bitcoin at this point because they started entering here because this is when CMEs came out, so they could short the market. Which means I theorized that without the CMEs having come out here, the top would have been maybe here. I don't think any of that would have happened. Top might have been 10K. Yeah, it probably would have been 10K. I'm serious. If CMEs were not planned to come out on a day, because the insiders already knew well in advance, and they knew they're going to short it, all they wanted to do. And if you know you're going to short something, and you know you can move the price, then how are you going to maximize how much money you're going to make? It's by shorting from higher. Yeah. So that's the CME. Yeah, to 35K. I mean, just looking at the chart and what's happened before, just kind of look at it. Like, look how aggressive this was based off the fact that insiders knew a government or, government-related stuff was going to come out. And that's what happened. Because they knew and you didn't. Or, they's news and you's didn't. Right? The big bad days, they knew. That's the type of stuff that happens. And so, looking at it comparison to, to 35K, if Bitcoin goes, let's say it hits 11K. Honestly, it's a really good guess. It would form a big inverse head and shoulders, skyrocket up, base there. Now I'm looking left to horizontals. And it's going to walk up this for a while because it's going to be going, it'll be testing this horizontal by bumping its head on that origin line. And that gives us $25K. See that worked? Look at that. Oh yeah. Damn, I should have recorded that part. And then that will be taken out. So they're at least going to take that out, which is a wick above. So it could end in a finale. Option 1. That is a picture of what that 2023 situation 1. If it goes up to the 25K, that's the way price would move, most likely. Or something very similar. You could have some, variations between how it breaks out. It could go boom, 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 something like that. But that's probably what it would look like. If it takes out this to convince people it's a bull market, all of this stuff should stay the same. This might be different. So let's drag that aside, make this a different color, and then I got to go after this. Yeah, because it would have to be over. So June and July, it would have to touch here. Oops. So June and July, it would have to touch here. That's about right. It would have to be over by roughly the end of September, which is here. And if that were to happen, it would have to... Actually, you know what? It might be different. I don't think it has time to get up there. It wouldn't have time. So this would actually lead to a breakdown. Anyway, but that was situation 1, taking out the first thing. And then the second, it might look fairly similar all the way up until here. Something different would happen there if it's going to go higher. So I'll draw over this. And if you haven't seen that, my 2023 prediction, I'm showing you visually what I was discussing there. If it's going to go higher, it can't blast off and just go straight there. It'll blast off over this part to get a run out of the gate. But then it's probably going to get stuck in this triangle here. No, the rally would have to hit this line. Actually, it would have to start just getting really hot. That's the only way it can do it. But we already saw that could happen. So let me go get a fractal of that. Yeah, it's going to have to look very similar to this if it's going to happen. If the top one. If it's only going to 25, it'll very likely be an inverse head and shoulders with an aggressive breakout over the neckline. And if it goes, oops, I'm doing the wrong thing. If it goes to that's what it would look like. It would actually look extraordinarily similar, and it would go over. Well, no, it could actually just do this. It could just go like that and end and like, yeah, that's reasonable. Yep, it gets rejected by this triangle. Similar to how Algorand just did exact same thing, but inverse. Like this is why I can just see this happen. I can see that black triangle. Just like on Algorand, you can see it from a mile away. A mile away. Because if you're falling to support horizontal and a slanted major support at an angle is in proximity to it, you always hit the farther one away. Like every time. If there are two very important lines with different slopes, but they're close to each other and price is racing to it, it's going to hit the farther one away almost every single time. Therefore, if you ever see a straight line with something that's not straight and price is approaching it, you know there is a triangle, right? In the event that price is approaching it roughly when they cross. So it either falls down straight and hits it as it crosses like that, and then it wouldn't do any triangle, right? You wouldn't see a triangle. Or if it gets down there a little later, you know you're dealing with that guy. Because you know it's going to hit the orange line. It won't bounce just from this guy. Just like if it gets up there, because we kind of are guessing how long it would take to get up there, it's a pretty reasonable guess because this is hot, right? That long or longer. But in this event that it went that fast and that aggressively, it would go over that high because it would have to touch that line. This is just how it works. I don't know why, but you just saw it on Algorand. That's what it would look like. All right, I got to get out of here, everybody. And again, I went down a weird rabbit hole today on purpose, and it was an experiment. And it's only because price is literally following to the 1 hour candle very close to what I already had drew 2 or 3 days ago. So I didn't want to rehash current price. I wanted to try to do something different. If it didn't work, that's cool. We'll go back to normal on Thursday. So in the spirit of that, I will see you this upcoming Thursday, the 5th at 6 p.m. New York. You got spaghettified. It wasn't typification today. You got some weird dose of Star Wars and Animal